everybody, good morning and welcome to Auntie M's country cooking. Today I'm going to show you how to do a very simple, easy, basic lasagna, vegetarian lasagna. And you might think lasagna is like really hard, but the thing about it is it's not hard, but there's several steps. So the trick to making it easier, I find, is break it up into steps, and then you can do several of the steps ahead of time, so you don't, if you try to do everything all at once, it can take like a really long time. So basically, one thing, when you know the basics of lasagna, of course you need lasagna noodles, you need tomato sauce, or if you like a type of white sauce or bechamel sauce, some people like that kind of lasagna. And then you need something to go into the layers. I do vegetarian veggie lasagna, and you can do just about any vegetables you want. Right today I'm doing zucchini, which I grilled ahead of time, just an indoor griddle. I didn't do it outside, but this is something like you can do ahead of time, put it in the fridge or till you're ready to go. So I did this actually a couple days ago, and mine is also going to have spinach, and because spinach has a lot of water in it, you pre-cooked some spinach, which just takes a few minutes. I use the baby spinach leaves because I wanted to get a lot of the water out. I didn't want it to be too liquidy. So those are just two vegetables that I had. I was going to do roasted eggplant, which is really nice in layers, but I let the eggplant get too old, so it was kind of brown and didn't taste that great. So I decided not to use that. But you know, you can put mushrooms, you can put onions, you can put asparagus, you know, kind of whatever you want, really. The sky's the limit. And you can pre-cook your veggies ahead of time, stick them in the fridge. If you want to cook your veggies in while the lasagna is cooking, they have to be things that cook fairly quickly. You wouldn't want to put, you know, like, I don't know, something that takes a long time to cook. So I kind of like to pre-cook my veggies. Now, lasagna noodles, you can also cook those ahead if you get the old-fashioned kind, which is what I got. And I cooked these yesterday, and then just put a little olive oil on them they still stuck together a little bit, but I was easy to pull them apart. I also cut them in half because I wanted shorter strips. So you can boil those ahead of time, or they also have nowadays pre-cooked lasagna noodles. The ones they call them no-boil lasagna noodles sometimes. And those are like really instant. You can just keep those in the fridge. There's also some dry ones you can keep in your pantry, and I don't know exactly how they do it, but they come in little sheets. My dad uses them. You don't have to do anything to them, but they're dry, so you can keep in the pantry so they're ready whenever, and then you just plunk them in your layers, and then when it's cooking they puff up and they're really great. So I didn't have any of those. I just use the old-fashioned kind. So again, pre-cook your noodles, pre-cook your veggies, stick them in the fridge, and the other key ingredient is tomato sauce or your bechamel. You can go all out and make your own tomato sauce, which is, again, a nice step, and you can do it ahead of time. I usually just buy a nice bottle of marinara. Find one that you like the flavor of, and to me it works just fine as long as you know you like the flavor of that kind of sauce. And olive oil, I always like to use a little olive oil. And then cheese, I use plant-based cheeses. There's so many nice plant-based cheeses out nowadays, and they're really improving their flavor and their melting capabilities. So I really recommend that you try them if you haven't. Not only it's good for the environment, but it doesn't harm animals, which is my main reason for using them, because I hate to see animals suffering. So I have two kinds of plant-based cheeses. This is a slice, pre-sliced, and then these are shreds, mozzarella shreds. And there's so many different brands out there too nowadays. You can try different ones and see which ones you like. These are both mozzarella style. We also have some cheddar at home, and you can go wild. You can do all kinds of different cheeses if you want, or keep it simple. And I like to add a little bit of extra spice. I've got oregano, got thyme, and I kind of like this pizza seasoning. This has bell peppers, fennel, oregano, what else? Garlic, basil, chili peppers, parsley, thyme, marjoram, and celery. And it just has a nice flavor. I use this for pizzas and anything kind of want an Italian kind of flavor. You can also get the Italian seasonings pre-mixed. You can put fresh parsley in here if you want. Fresh basil would be fantastic if you had any. I don't have any. And so let's see. I think I'm ready to get started. So the other variable, I guess you would say, is the pan you're going to use. Now, a lot of lasagnas are done in really high pans because they want to have multiple layers. This one, I'm using a lower pan. It's only about, I don't know, 2 inches. But I like the size of this. I didn't want a too small, and I didn't want a humongous one either. And I like this as a Pyrex, and I like that you can see through it. It's translucent. So this will probably only have like a couple of layers, but that's okay. You don't have to do, gazillion layers. So I like to put on the very bottom a little bit of olive oil just to prevent any possible sticking, and it gives a little extra flavor. Paper towel. Tips for the day. I love paper towels, and if you can find those ones that aren't huge, usually you only need a small section at a time, and I think it ends up saving paper. they're just handy for cleanup and for setting your utensils down, if anything spills. So I think in this case, since I don't want to get my hands oily, I'm going to use a little piece of paper towel to spread around the olive oil. Now, you can just spread it around, make sure to get in the corners and the sides. And you don't have to use olive oil for this, or certainly you don't have to use extra virgin olive oil. You can use, you know, shortening, you can use butter, you can use just regular vegetable oil. But olive oil gives it a nice Italian, more Italian or European, Mediterranean flavor. I guess you would say Mediterranean, not European, but Mediterranean flavor. Alright, so I've got that pretty well oiled. I'll put that there. Now, bottom, and you can kind of do your layers however you want. I like to do a little bit of sauce on the bottom, and because I'm using a jar, I just pour it in there. Probably about, I don't know, half a cup maybe. Two-thirds of a cup. About that much. Here what I should do, so it's not so noisy. So I'm going to set this on paper towels so it doesn't clank around so much. Okay. And I've got two kinds of spatulas. This is your standard rubber spatula. And then this is another, this is called an offset spatula. I did not even own one of these till about a year ago, but it's so handy whenever you want to make something, smooth it out, but you need to get in there without an angle. It's really nice. So I think I'm going to use my offset spatula to kind of spread this around a bit. Hope you guys are having a good day, or if you're listening to this at night to go to sleep, I hope that it doesn't keep you awake because you might get hungry. Hopefully you're not going to bed hungry, because if you are, I wouldn't recommend watching this. I definitely don't watch cooking videos. Well, I try not to watch them at night, but sometimes I do anyways. Okay, so I spread it around a bit, and you can see. And I'm going to do my noodles. Oh, here's another tip of the day. Whenever you're working with tomato sauce, anything with tomatoes in it, especially concentrated, try not to wear light colored clothing, because inevitably something will splatter and it stains your clothes very easily. So I usually wear dark colors, black, blue, whatever, while I'm cooking with tomato sauce. So this is kind of noisy. I'll put this over here. Now, a layer of noodles. Again, these are pre-boiled, or you can use the pre-boiled, meaning I boiled them ahead of time, but you can also buy the pre-boiled. And you can break these up into pieces to fit however you want to do it. It's very forgiving. I've got some little pieces that tore when I was pulling them apart. So I'm going to use those up. And let's see, that's pretty good. But like, I need one smaller piece. I'll just tear off a piece. It tears very easily. Put that there. So you can see I've got the bottom layer covered. And I think I need another paper towel. I know some of you are probably saying, oh my gosh, you're using too much paper. But for demonstration purposes, I'm using more because normally I have a, a dish towel, kitchen towel, whatever you call them, and I would use that more, but I don't have one handy. All right, got the tomato sauce, the noodles, so I'll put some veggies next. And I've got my grilled zucchini. I gotta cut it pretty thin, but it doesn't really have to be. You can be thicker. Just make sure that it's mostly cooked before you put it on. It doesn't have to be all the way cooked, because it will cook in the oven. Alright, so let's see, I've got my layer of zucchini, and let's see, I think I'll put a little bit of the cheese. Oh, you know what, I'm going to put a little herbs. You can sprinkle the herbs in between layers. This is the oregano, just putting a little bit here. Just a little extra flavor. And when you buy the dried herbs, try to crush them up, because that helps release the flavors. Or so I am told. I'll put a little bit of the pizza seasoning. So I'd love to hear you guys what your favorite recipes are. If you make lasagna, how do you do it? And if you, I know a lot of people like the nostalgic element of ASMR. I do too. I especially, I love the newspaper, like page turning videos, I think because it reminds me of when I was a kid, and like on a Sunday morning, my dad and mom would read the paper, and, you know, we might be playing or coloring or something, and it was just a nice soothing sound, and it's really relaxing for me to listen to that now. And I know some of you have mentioned that the cooking videos are kind of nostalgic to you too, and so I'm really glad that you enjoy that aspect of it. So this is the shredded plant-based mozzarella I'm adding now. I never know how much to put. I guess it just depends how much you like, but I'll try to make a light layer of it, not too thick. I was going to put carrots too, because just to show you that you can put just about anything. Like if you really thinly slice carrots, you can even put those in too for a little color and texture. So now I'll do the other vegetable, which is the spinach. kind of, when it cooks, as I'm sure you know, it kind of clumps up. So I'm going to break up the clumps a little bit and just sort of spread it around a little bit there. So it'll won't be too clumpy once it comes out. And make sure that if you do use spinach and if you pre-cook it, make sure to drain the liquid out of it. Otherwise you might have a soupy lasagna, and you probably don't want a soupy lasagna. Okay. So that is the spinach layer. I'm going pretty light-handed on these. You kind of just, you know, mess around. This is a very forgiving recipe. You can try different things, try different vegetables, whatever you want to do. It's really fun to be creative, and I hope that you will try making one yourself and tell me in the comments how it came out, just because even if you've never cooked, or you know you're nervous about making something like this, you'll see it's really pretty simple. It's just a matter of steps. So now I've got a little light layer of the spinach, baby spinach, and I used organic spinach. If you can find it, it's always nice to use organic, but I know it's hard to find sometimes. So what do I need next? I should put more tomato sauce, and I'll kind of shake the bottle to kind of try to spread it around, because I don't want this to be in one big glop either. Okay. How much is left? Don't want to run out. So I put, again, probably about ½ a cup, and I'll spread it out a little bit with this. Be careful not to move around the stuff underneath it too much, so be gentle here. Now, I didn't get out the garlic powder and onion powder, I forgot, but the sauce in this case has garlic, and I think it has onion. So you might not need that, but you certainly feel free, you know, between all the layers or any layers, add a little garlic powder, or even like fresh minced garlic if you really like garlic. Onion powder. You could add caramelized onions, which would be delicious. So next I think I'll do the mozzarella. This is the pre-sliced plant-based mozzarella. So I'm just going to do a layer over the sauce and overlap it a little bit. You don't have to, just depends. Do you want it super cheesy or not so cheesy? And I will do a layer on the other side. Okay. Alright, so it's pretty well covered, as you can see there. So what do I need now? I need another layer of noodles. So I've got my noodle lined up here. And you can overlap your noodles a little bit. I wouldn't overlap them too much because they're kind of thick. You don't want really any layer to be like super thick. So okay, so I've got a layer of my noodles. And what is next? I lost track. You don't have to be the same each time. You can do the layers however you want to. So I did, let's see, I just did the cheese and the noodles, and I think I will do the zucchini again. I think in Europe these are called courgettes, I'm not sure, something like that. Or something. I really like zucchini because it's versatile. If you have ever had zucchini bread, and maybe that's strictly an American thing, but that's really delicious to make like a sweet, quick bread with grated zucchini. It's kind of like what you would do with carrot cake or carrot bread. And then my grandmother used to make Italian style zucchini, which is cut it in long quarters, and then cut those in halves or thirds depending. So you basically, like, you have little wedges, and then stir fry it with olive oil, garlic, and the surprise ingredient is mint. Has to be fresh mint leaves. Cannot use the dried. Well, you could try it, but it probably wouldn't be as good. But you just stir fry it, and I usually throw the mint in towards the end because it doesn't really need to cook that much, just kind of get soft. And then a little salt and pepper, and it's so good. And it's very Italian style. I never heard of anybody in this country fixing it that way unless they have Italian background. So you'd be surprised that you wouldn't think that those flavors would go good together, but they're really good. So there is my zucchini layer, and I think what's next? I think I'll do a little more of the mozzarella shreds now. So I'm getting close to the top, so I would probably have like another ½ inch in the pan. So I'll do a little more of the shreds. And you can, for the top layer, you can put cheese at the very top. Some people put tomato sauce at the top. I think I'll do a combination. And let's see. I'll do a little bit of the spinach. If you're a mushroom lover, sliced mushrooms would go really well in here. Either my husband or I are big mushroom fans, so I'm not putting any. I do like portobellas, like to make a grilled portobello burger. I love that. So I do like some mushrooms, just kind of not a lot. You could even do asparagus, like I was thinking about a spring lasagna. You could do like spring vegetables like asparagus, really fresh greens. Alright, so I'm just finishing up the remainder of this spinach. It's pretty good. I used all the zucchini. Uh-oh, there's a plane overhead. It's kind of loud. Hope it doesn't get too loud. Okay. So there is my spinach. What should I do next? I think I'll do last layer of noodles. Or maybe I need sauce. I need a little more sauce. I can't remember. You can see I'm demonstrating to you how you don't really have to know exactly what you're doing. You can just play as you go, so to speak. So got a little bit of sauce. I didn't put a lot, just some dots. And I want to add a little bit of, now you could add salt and pepper. We're trying to cut back on our salt, so I'm not adding more salt. I'm going to add a little bit of thyme there. Sometimes I get like 20 minutes into a video and then suddenly I notice like I didn't plug in the mic, or I didn't push the record button all the way, and that is like so frustrating. I should check. I should make myself like some kind of mnemonic device so that after a couple of minutes, like, is it recording? Is the mic plugged in? So I think I'm recording. Yes, I'm recording, and the mic's plugged in. So I added a little pizza seasoning, a little thyme, and now I'll do one more layer of the noodles. This is coming out pretty good because I haven't, the pieces that I cut in half just happen to be just right to fit in this pan. Look at that. Perfect. So as you can see, it's getting pretty full. So I think on the top I want to have sauce and then cheese, right? Or cheese and then sauce. Not sauce and then cheese. So I'll put a little more sauce. Boom, 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 boom. Come on, okay. So I've almost used about, I don't know, half of a bottle of the sauce. Maybe not that much, a third. So I'm not making it real thick because I'm getting pretty close to the top here. Spread it out with my little offset spatula. And now when it cooks in the oven, a lot of the juices of the vegetables and the sauce and the noodles and everything, they all kind of blend together. So, you know, you don't want it too dry, but you don't want it too soupy. But I find that as long as I drain the vegetables, then it comes out just fine. Okay, so it's kind of a thin layer for the top. Do I need more? Maybe I need a little more. There's not that much left in the jar, so I think I'll put a little bit more. And here's another tip of the day. When you get to where your jar is almost empty, and like you're trying to scrape, and it's a pain, what I'll do is fill it up with water, put cap it really well and shake it, and that gets all the sauce mixed in with water. And then I use that water to make, like if I'm making pizza dough, I'll use that water, because then you've got this flavor of the tomato sauce already in the water. Or even soup, like if you're going to make a nice minestrone soup or something, and you want it, a vegetable broth, or a nice flavorful broth, you can use that. You can use the water that has the sauce in it already for an extra flavor, and like you're not wasting any of the stuff in the jar. And you can do that with other things too, like whatever it is that's in the jar and you're fighting to get the rest of it out. That is another tip of the day here at Auntie and Cooking. We love to give you tips to help make your life easier. So let's see, I've got 3 strips left of the I mean 3 squares left of the slices. So I'm going to put those sort of evenly spaced like that, and you can see how I did that. Then I'll take these shreds and I'll just kind of fill in the areas around the slices, so everything will have a little layer of cheese on it. So the plant-based cheeses are getting better at melting. Some of them will melt, but they have a higher melting point, so they have to be a little longer in the oven. But there are newer ones coming out with improved meltability, which I just maybe made that word up, I don't know. So, okay, I've got kind of just freewheeling it here. I'm putting some of the shreds to cover the areas where I didn't have the squares. All right. So what else should I put? What should I put on top? Anything else? Maybe just a little more oregano, just because I like oregano. And if you have even Parmesan, like you can get really good plant-based Parmesan too. You could sprinkle that on top. That would be good. I don't happen to have any. Okay. And I also like the look of herbs, because they get nice and toasty and crispy and aromatic. So another thing that my grandmother would probably do at this point is, since she loved olive oil, put just a few drops of olive oil on the top just to prevent any possible drying out. It'll sink down. So I'm just putting, I don't know. So I had a little disturbance there with the dog and the barky. I hope I can get it edited out properly. Still not great at editing the videos, but at least I can do a little bit now. So I've drizzled probably about 1 or 2 teaspoons of olive oil on the top little extra flavor, extra moisture. So it's pretty much ready to bake. As you can see, I filled it up pretty full. It's got maybe like 1/8 of an inch to spare. I do like to put foil on the top. I'm not going to cover it now because that is so loud and it would just be way too loud to do on the video. But I'm going to cover it with foil, bake it for around a half hour or so, maybe 40 minutes. Medium oven, around 350 or so, 375, 350 is fine. And then take off the foil, and then for like the last, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes or so, cook it without the lid until you see like its top kind of bubbling and the cheese gets melty and brown. If you like a little crispy cheese, you know, you can go longer. Just basically depends on like how close it is to the flame, you know, how well you like it. If you like the cheese a little bit brown and crispy, you can go longer. It's just, but as a rough guide, I would say, you know, around 30 to 40 minutes, depending on the size of your pan. And then after you uncover it, probably 10 minutes or so, but just keep an eye on it. Then when you take it out, you need to let it cool for quite a while before you can eat it, because it can be very hot inside. So I will get this in the oven, and then once it comes out, I will start the video again so you can see what it looks like when it's all done. I hope that it comes out okay. But again, you know, it's hard to mess these up. You can really kind of do whatever you want. You can play with it, and even though it might not look the best, it's pretty much going to taste good no matter what. So I will see you on the other side. So here is the cooked lasagna. It was about 40 minutes in the oven, and then with the foil on, and then I took the foil off and I turned the heat up a little bit so it would get kind of nice and crispy on top, and so maybe 15 minutes extra with the foil removed. So it's actually cooled quite a bit. I have to go to work, and so this is actually like 4 hours later. So I just wanted to cut it a piece so you can see what it looked like inside. Piece so you can see it. It came out pretty well. That is what it looks like. I don't know if you can see that okay. Held together pretty well. That's the key, is to not have too much liquid, as I mentioned before, because then it will hold its shape a little bit better. So that is my veggie lasagna, and hopefully it will taste good. So there we go. So thank you for watching the video, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you try it yourself. Let me know. See you next time.